A few fields away, and 24 hours later, a different climate prevailed. So much so that Joe and Val McGovern and I were fit to be lapping hay. At least, that's what we were supposed to be doing. In reality, we were following that old farming dictum, make conversation while the sun shines. And I was still trying to tell my McGoverns from my McGuires.
So it's Joe Ainey Frank, is that what you were
Joe
saying?
Oney, they call me.
Joe Oney.
Joe McGovern.
Val, do you need a nickname? Do you?
Mine is a short handle, only one handle to it. Val Ned.
Val Ned.
My father was Edward
Right, I see.
McGovern, and they called him Ned, and I'm Val Ned.
You're Val Ned.
But there's families beside me. There's Q Frank, Huey Tom.
Frank Huey Tom.
Yeah, Q Frank, Huey Tom.
Hugh Frank Huey Tom.
Jim Huey Peter.
Jim Huey Peter.
James Jimmy Tom.
James Jimmy Tom.
And Francie Gregory is beside me. He's McGovern. They call him Francie Gregory. Gregory.
Francie Gregory.
That's right. His father was Gregory.
So all of these names are obviously the fathers and the grandfathers.
Yeah, that's right.
And the grandfathers.
That's what
Well, your father was Edward, right?
That's right.
So you're Val Ned.
Yeah.
Did your father have a nickname then before that
No,
at all? No, he didn't need one.
He didn't. No, I don't know why he didn't.
But Val's not too popular a name around here.
Well, the doctor that delivered me was Dr. Val McLaughlin. And he insisted on me.
That wasn't so.
That's right. He insisted on me being called Val.
After him.
After him.
Right.
And I was called Val.
Right.
Edward Valentine was my proper name.
Edward Valentine.
But I'm called Val. You see.
Well, that's a good name. Never knew that.
That's right.
He came from Baltoro.
He did. That's right.
That's right.
But that's the way I got the name Valentine.
But the point I was going to make really is if you have an unusual Christian name, like say there are not too many vowels around the place, do you still have to have the nickname? Do you still have to?
When I called him, he's McGovern. He was McGovern. They don't call him Oney.
That's right. That's right.
He was a footballer at Cavan in 47.
Oh,
brother of Joe's,
a brother of yours?
Yeah.
All right.
He's American.
Yeah.
Well, you see, around here, if you didn't have a nickname, like, I mean, if you go away to England or America and someone you meet and they'll say, oh, I worked with John McGovern, I knew John McGovern from West Cavan.
Right, you may as well say...
John McGovern from West Cavan, it could be 40 John McGoverns from West Cavan.
Right.
You wouldn't have a clue.
You wouldn't have a clue.
Not a clue.
So it wouldn't mean anything, in other words.
It would mean nothing.
Right.
Or Pat McGovern or anything like that. You wouldn't have a clue. You'd have to have a nickname.
But if you said John Ned...
John Pat Huey Tom or something, you knew then who it was.
You knew who it was.
But you wouldn't know except that.
Yeah. I think the nicknames are very hard to remember, mind you.
Oh, it is hard to remember, right?
Yeah.
It will be.
You'd have to be living in the area to really remember them and to really know them, you know.
Yes,
yes. There's so many of them.
Right. And I find it strange, I mean, that you're not all related in some way, that you don't go back a couple of generations.
Yeah.
Well, you're all denying each other anyway, I don't know whether that means anything.
Well, then there are McGoverns down in Wexford. There's part of Wexford, there's McGoverns.
Is that?
And there is, yeah, and they have no connection either.
No connection to you?
No.
You know John Hume well down there, so.
I do indeed, yes.
Nice man.
Aye.
Good man.
John Paddy Ned Hume.
John Paddy Ned Hume is right.
And so the crack went on. But every now and then, of course, you'd have to stop for a break and do a bit of work, building the lapped hay into waterproofed rucks.
But there's a place down in Leitrim, then away down near Rossindra, where they leave the hay out all the time, in big cocks like that, and the cattle eat out of it. They put wire around it, and the sheep eat out of it.
Well, I remember a man, Ignatius McGuire was his name, and he lived up around the shores of Loch McLean, and he used to bring in these rucks of hay with a horse and a chain.
That's right.
Did you do that?
I used to put 2 horses in them, big rucks.
Well, he had a horse, and I'd never seen it done before, so I didn't really believe it could be done. Because I thought, well, if you put a chain around that and the horse starts pulling it up the field, it's going to all fall to bits.
Well, I seen a man out.
And it stayed perfectly.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
You were talking, I seen a man out in Glen pulling the ruck himself.
He
had ropes around him here, Peter the Botch. I was there, and built the pegs himself.
Yeah.
And he got on the ruck and he tried to pull it round and round and get moved on the ground.
Yeah.
And pulled it in it. No, the God was it now.
And it stayed in one piece.
And he used to eat the bread in a bucket.
He used to break
Oh, that's no hard. I'm coming with a 4-stone pack of flour up the house being cheap. In a bucket, that's even put on the fire. Yeah. The loveliest cake I've ever seen in your life.
Really?
I couldn't believe it.
So you put the flour and all that stuff into the bucket,
up and
put the bucket on top of the fire?
Yeah.
And it baked?
Hung it on the crook.
Yeah.
But it was good sauce, you know.
I'm sure.
Back in the 18th century, Swanlinbar was one of the most famous spa towns in the whole of Ireland, and every year from May right through until November, gentlemen and ladies from Dublin and overseas would descend on the place in their droves. Many of them recommended to come here by their physicians to partake of the waters copiously. The spa water of Swanlinbar had the name of curing practically everything, from ulcers to dysentery, from colic to every imaginable skin disorder. And indeed, there's quite a substantial body of evidence to suggest that it was highly efficacious in most cases. It also had the reputation of being good at curing hangovers, although I personally don't have the means of testing out this theory. But you had to drink huge amounts of the stuff. Several quarts a day was the recommended dosage in most cases. And if you happened to be a guest at Mr. Castle's Spa Hotel in the late 1700s, then you had a very strict routine to follow indeed, and I quote, "You go to bed at 10 without supper. In the morning you appear at the well at 6, drink till 9, taking constant exercise, and breakfast a little after 10. At 1, you return to the well and drink 2 or 3 glasses, returning home at 3 to be dressed for dinner at 4. There is no particular rule necessary, but to be temperate in wine and to drink as little Chinese tea as possible." Now, as you can see, whatever else its curative properties, it's not very good for your eyesight. And this little trip is not very good for a certain other part of your anatomy, even though it's only up over a few bumpy fields. But there's nothing more insistent than a cow when it wants to be milked. And Jerry McKiernan's herd can tell when it's 10 past 6 by counting on their udders.
You form a bond with cows, you know, they know you and you know them. And
that's what I was wondering. I mean, you don't go so far as to even have names for any of them or anything
no,
like that.
No, but you know every cow. Like,
you know them all?
You know them all, you know every cow. If there's a cow missing in the morning, like, they can come in.
Yeah.
I know which cow, you know, I know which cow was missing. You know which one was missing.
Jerry's milking parlour is as automated as they come. A minute per cow he allows to get all 50 through. 3 measures of meal fed through a hopper, the clusters clamped gingerly, and the poor creatures down in the pit take their chances and dream about a hose down afterwards. It's no place for the faint-hearted.
Come here, this is... It's kind of getting damp down this corner. Well, the cows didn't get you, sure they didn't? No? You're going to be a dairy farmer when you grow up as well. You are. You're going to look after cows like your dad. Right. What has to be done now? The cattle are all not. Let's go and wash up. Wash up and get some of this stuff off.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a hose up here somewhere? Is there?
Yeah.